In this video, we'll look at how the mechanics of breathing are regulated. The diaphragm and intercostal muscles are skeletal muscles. They require stimulation by nerves. You know this is under voluntary control, as you can force yourself to inhale or exhale. Compare that to cardiac muscle, where the rhythm is controlled by the pacemaker cells of the heart. The excitation of the respiratory muscles is cyclical. Inspiration begins when a burst of action potentials from motor neurons arrives at the diaphragm, making it contract. When the action potentials cease, the diaphragm relaxes. This may sound familiar from the information learned in Bio 201 about skeletal muscle stimulation. However, in the case of these respiratory muscles, there are some limitations on voluntary control, which is a good thing. I would not want to have to go to sleep and think about breathing all night. Regarding involuntary control, the medulla oblongata is the part of the brain that houses the respiratory center. There are two parts to this. The neurons in the dorsal respiratory group fire mainly during the inhalation to activate inspiratory muscles. The ventral respiratory group contains neurons that control the rhythm of breathing at rest or the basal respiratory rate. There's also a part of the ventral group that fires when a forced expiration is necessary, such as when activity levels and so metabolic needs of the body increase. This happens during exercise. Due to the neurons in the motor cortex of the cerebrum, the breath needed for talking, laughing, humming is under voluntary control. There are many signals coming from the periphery to the medullary inspiratory neurons. However, one of the most important comes from the chemoreceptors. The carotid bodies and the aortic bodies are the peripheral chemoreceptors. You may recall where the common carotid artery bifurcates or branches into the external and internal carotid arteries. Well, that is where the carotid bodies are located, and the aortic bodies lie on the arch of the aorta. These receptors are in close contact with and monitor the chemical properties of the blood. The brain needs oxygen, and the carotid bodies detect when the oxygen levels are sufficient. Therefore, these are the primary chemoreceptors sending input to the medulla. In addition, respiratory rate can be influenced by emotions, memories, temperature, and pain. For example, an increase in body temperature will increase respiratory rate. You may recall that thermoregulation is a function of the hypothalamus. Lastly, a response to inhaling a respiratory irritant is to cough, as in the case of inhaling smoke. This slide indicates the illustration of the locations of the peripheral chemoreceptors that monitor the blood chemistry. In addition to the peripheral chemoreceptors, there are central chemoreceptors located in the medulla and other parts of the brainstem and cerebellum. The cells respond to changes in the partial pressure of carbon dioxide, which is linked to pH. Ultimately, a lower pH will result in increased ventilation.